And I'll just quickly introduce myself so that it also builds context for you all. Uh, Before I introduce myself, I've known Sampath for how many years now? About a decade?
Yeah, 2009 Twitter.
Yeah, yeah. So more than a decade. Gosh, that makes me feel old. Uh, so I have over 19 years of experience in what I do. I, I I am a communication professional. I uh, I have co-founded companies in the past. I co-founded two companies. Now I head corporate communication for a healthcare company, which is in Mumbai, in Navi Mumbai, Airoli. It's a large company. It's called IKS Health, and essentially we service the US healthcare sector. Um, I'm also an artist. You can see some of my work there in the background. That's one of my paintings. And I'm also an author. So my first fiction book has come out recently. It's called Of Unspoken Words and Half Said Truths. Um, and essentially, I have in my career, moved from. I started as a marketing professional 19 years ago in advertising, and from there I moved on um, to doing business development, from business development to investor relations, from investor relations to corporate communication and marketing communication. From there, I started my own agency. I ran my agency for 6 years. My agency is still running. My husband takes care of my agency, but there was a point in time where I decided to go back to the corporate life because I just like the pulse of it, and having done what I did for the agency, I just wanted it to stop there. So that's the brief about what I have done. I'll share my screen now. I don't have much of a presentation for you all. I like to talk, so probably this will be more conversational. And if you Sam, I can't share my screen, so if you could share yours for me. So this is going to be more conversational. If you want, you can ask Sam if you want some references to read, or you want to even connect with me for some specific query that you have. Some we'll try to handle towards the end of this call when we open this up to questions, and rest you can reach out to me anytime. Probably either Sampath can share my contact credentials, or I'll just share my social handles. Sam, you're sharing the screen?
Sam, you're on mute.
You can share, it's open.
It's open?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's open, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. You were not supposed to see that. Okay. The title of this talk is corporate communication. So I'll just tell you what corporate communication essentially means. But I'm going to talk about a broader spectrum today because I see you're all entrepreneurs in various fields. I also see that there are doctors and consultants on this call. So I will make it more relevant, this talk more relevant to you, rather than talking about what corporates would essentially do. Since during my work with the agency, I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know the pain points. So I will try to touch upon them while giving you a broader spectrum on what communication is and why it is important in today's time. Um, if in the comments you could just mention how many of you are on social media. Just ping, yes, no. How many of you use social media? Okay, so I see most of you use social media. And what's the purpose of social media today? The purpose of social media is to connect, is to communicate. It's also, yes, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of it. It's to bring people together and to talk, to exchange ideas. Now, we pan the camera towards what you guys do for your living. You guys are entrepreneurs. Now, these are the very tools that can be used for communicating your businesses, you know, your what you do, to talk about your products, to talk about your services, and today I'm going to just give you an insight onto how you could do that. How is this corporate communication relevant to today's social media? So eventually you're not wasting time on social media, but also utilizing it to your benefit. And at the end of it, you know, making money, making business, and talking about your brand on it. So the first step that we take when we want to, so now you decide that, okay, you want to talk about your brand, your product, or your service, say on LinkedIn. We will go step by step as to what prepares you to talk about it, how you prepare yourself. If you're a doctor, today even doctors need to have a certain footfall in their clinic or their hospital, or you know, wherever they are operating from, to kind of make sure that they are treating as many patients as they can. Today, any say fabricator or suit makers need to have those many footfalls in their shop floor to make sure that they are catering to as many customers that they can. So the first step to deciding that you want to communicate about your brand is to create, oh, is this is not working. Okay, the first step is brand identity. Do you guys understand brand identity at all? There's a question, there's a rhetoric question that I'm throwing at you. What you know, just give yourself a thought. What do you think brand identity is? Does brand identity need to be a product? Can brand identity be a service? Can brand identity be a thought? Can brand identity be a person? It is a yes for all of this. A brand can be anything I mentioned here. Can be a person, can be a thing, can be a service, can also be an ideology. If you brand an ideology perfectly, it becomes a brand, of course, and then people buy into it. They buy into ideologies. What happens in, you know, I'm just going to mention this, what happens in politics. Basically, you're sold an ideology, you're sold a viewpoint, and you buy into it, and then you go and vote for that particular ideology or viewpoint. So one of the best branding exercises that we can see is done by politicians. If you really look into it, you're buying into their ideologies because they have branded it so well. They have told you that, you know what, this is what you're looking for, and this is what your country needs, or this is what your city needs, and then you vote for them. So one of the best brands that are developed are by politicians. Now we dig deeper into this. How do you create a brand identity? So you take a step back and you look at your business, you look at your practice, and you think, what is the personality of my business, or what is the personality of my practice? If my business was a person, what would this person be like? So one of the first things that I would urge you all to do after this call, maybe tomorrow, maybe over the weekend, take a notepad, write on it your brand's personality, your office, your product, your business, whatever it is. Maybe you're dealing with cement and concrete, or maybe you're dealing with, taking care of patients, or you're thinking of being the next big scarf company in the country or the world. Just step back and um, think what your brand or what your company would be like if it were a person. Now, this is the simplest way to define what it is, because at this point in time, you're having a conversation with your brand. You're sitting right next to your brand and thinking, okay, if I'm talking to my brand, is my brand a shy person? Is my brand a boastful person? Um, is my brand talkative? Is my brand aggressive? Is my brand reticent? So you define your brand. Um, if you have partners within your company, it would be a good practice for all the partners to sit together and define the brand personality. Once you have defined the brand personality, you need to have about 4 to 5 points to talk about it. And after that, you will know what the brand's personality is. Once you have done that, you have to now visualize how your brand would look like. Now, when you're visualizing this brand, you may need the help of a creative agency to do this for you. So if you have any person that you know who has a creative agency, or you can reach out to so many of them that are there today in the market. If you go to them with the definition of your brand as a person, it would be so much more easier for them to quickly visualize what your brand would look like. So then what the brand looks like is basically what we know as a logo. You need a logo, you need an identity, a visual identity. The moment you look at the brand, you think about this, because obviously we have defined the brand's personality, but it's not a person in reality, it's a business. So we identify people with the way they look. So we identify brands with their logos. So it's very, very, very important for you to have a logo. So that would be step 2 of you creating the brand identity. So you have the brand personality, then you have the logo. The logo can be defined by a few things. You could speak to the agency about the colors you like, about the shapes you like, about a vision that you have in mind, and then it should take shape. There are various methods by which a logo can be created, or there are various sensibilities that that your logo can be created with. I'll just mention 2-3 points that you need to keep in mind. Whenever you're designing a logo, just make sure that your logo is scalable. Today, if you're designing a logo for your visiting card, just think about it. Tomorrow, if your business grows big, how would it look on a hoarding across a stadium? So your logo should be scalable. The moment you tell your designer that you want a scalable logo, they will understand that. Most often than not, I have experienced during my days when I was running the agency, there are a lot of entrepreneurs go ahead with logos which are not scalable, because these are either created in Photoshop or they're created without vector designs. So just keep this in mind. The scalability is very, very important for the logos. Make sure you have logos that can also be created in black, in white, and in color. So all variations. You need to have logos that can be created in variations. You can have logo that have just one visual character to it, and then it can also have typography. We call it typography to it. A simple example is Nike. When you see a check mark, you know it's Nike, and when you see a Nike written, you know it's Nike. So these are two aspects of their logo. The visual character is the check mark, and the typography is how they write the logo. So that these are the two aspects of their brand identity, the logo identity. So that is about the logo. You have the brand personality, you have the logo taken care of. Now, while you're doing the logo, you also need to have, along with the logo, statement for your brand. It is not always, it's not necessary that you have it, but it's always good to have it because it will define your brand. So define your brand in 2 words or 3 words. Again, you could have an idea in your mind, you can have a sentence in your mind, and the creative agency can change it for you, can really make it creative. Don't make it very complicated, just make it simply identifiable with your business. Some of the brands also make it very philosophical, but is your target audience going to understand the philosophy behind what you're defining? If yes, if you're catering to an audience that is hyper intellectual, you may probably go in for a very philosophical statement, but I would advise go for the simpler, more identifiable statements along with your logo. In a nutshell, this is what will create your brand identity. I have more points how to define your brand and ultimately how to communicate it. These are all, we are just preparing right now to communicate about our brand. Sam, can I open questions for the brand identity right now, or shall we open questions at the end?
You can, finish your PPT, and
Okay.
then we can do it, because the questions will keep on going on. So once you finish
Okay.
your PPT, you can finish that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I see some questions, so I'll answer them at the end.
We'll do it at the end only.
Okay. Okay. Now, you have your brand identity. आपका logo बन चुका है. And you know why you have started the business. But one of the things that you need to also prepare yourself before you go out in the market or start communicating with stakeholders, with customers. Even if you already have a business, this is something that you can start at any point in time during your business. This will just open you up to more audience, to more people. Is the core messaging. I'll explain to you what core messaging is. There is a reason why you started the business. Either you started a business to address a pain point in the market. These would be typically disruptive businesses, or the lack of competition in the market. It can be anything. Maybe you're pioneers in what you do. Maybe you could be just another business in the marketplace. But what is your core messaging? What is it that makes you tick? What is it that makes you go to work every day and do what you do? So basically, what are you trying to say? What are you solving in this world? That's where your core messaging will come, and make it as honest as you can. I really like that line. It was about the scarves, that you want to be the first large scale scarf sellers in India. Maybe yes, connecting people, that is one of the statements, logo statements. The core messaging is much larger. It will run into half a page. This messaging is basically what makes you tick. Why have you started? So answer your why. Why do you exist? The core messaging is why do you exist. From the core messaging comes the other parts that I'm going to talk about. Once you've answered the why do you exist, all of those big words that larger corporates use would flow from there. Then you would be able to define your mission, your vision, and your values. I think all of these are very, very important um, for companies to define them, because once you know what you are, I think the communication becomes all the more easy and fluid, because you know what you're talking about, you know the points that you want to address. Maybe you start uh, yeah, it is not a tagline. They're both different. Core messaging is why the company exists, why are you doing what you're doing. From there we would derive other messages. So you're then talking about your values. Why now values are important for not only for your customers but also for your employees. So I would also pan the camera inside your organization when you're communicating, because communication is not just for the external world. I am right now not sure how many employees do you all have, but even having anywhere from 10 to 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 employees is very important for any brand to even connect with the employees. Because why is an employee coming to work every day? What is it that is motivating that employee to come to work? So I think the core messaging helps there, because at times brands themselves may not know once they've grown larger that why do they exist. So if this kind of work is done earlier on for your brand, it becomes easier to communicate uh, the whole thing. So we are right now preparing to communicate, to open up to the world, and we are also, by defining our core messages, we are preparing to communicate with our own people. So I'll just give you an example. I work with an organization. We are about 5,000 employees across the world. Uh, One of the things that binds us together, one of the points of communication that is very important, that we are driving consistently with our teams, is the mission. Our mission is to provide, is to help physicians provide better, safer, and more efficient care to their patients. Now, this messaging that we have created this as a drumbeat. A drumbeat is something that you're hopping on constantly, because uh, uh, this messaging that the CEO is vibrating on, we want the last person in the organization to vibrate on the same frequency, to understand the importance of what we are doing, to be as passionate about driving this mission of the company as the CEO is. Hence the def- defining core messaging becomes very important, because then you're able to convey the same passion through the downline, then towards your customers as well. So why would I come to your shop and buy what you're selling to me, um, or take your service? It's because I'm vibrating at the same frequency. I understand what your core messaging is, and I can relate to it. So this is very important. I would again advise, this is something to be done by entrepreneurs themselves, um, sitting with partners, business partners if you have them, and then folding in the agency to uh, probably sharpen the rough edges of your core messaging. And from there you can derive something like a mission, a vision, and values. I'll just clarify some definitions of a mission, vision, and values, and why these are important for a brand to have. A mission, of course, is why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? So are you resolving a pain point? Are you making it easier for the customers to get something, to read something? There is someone from logistics. So are you making deliveries easier? Are you making reaching out easier, depending on what part of logistics you are. um, there's someone from air conditioning, so for you the mission could be making living more comfortable despite the changing temperatures. That could be the mission. The vision is, where do you see yourself uh, going from the point that you are right now? um, uh, where do you go from point A to say point B in 5 years, 10 years? You do not have to define the timeline in vision, but you have to define, where are you going from here? Are you looking at a global outreach? Are you looking at a local outreach? Where are you going from this point that you exist at this point moment? If you are someone who services Mumbai, and if your vision is to service Mumbai but to expand your market share within Mumbai, then define that. You may not want to expand geographies, which is totally okay. It is your vision. How do you see the business growing? So it is very important to define that, because the employees at the end of it are also looking at you and thinking that if I join this company, or if I stay with this company, where is it going to take me 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now? Uh, then there are the values. Now, values are important not just for the employees, but also for your customers. Again, one example that I could give you of the values is from the company that I work for. Our values are that of, I'll give you an example, because this would also define what values are. These are the operating virtues of your company. So the operating virtues of the companies are the values. Our values are collaboration, innovation, uh, and we have 6 values, in fact, and there are other values that we have, that's called learning, because we take it as a value, because we say that learning is so important for our company, that if you join our company, we are constantly improving not just ourselves by innovation, but you with learning as well. So that is one pull factor for us, for the employees. So these are the virtues that we operate with. This can also define uh, uh, how the company not just interacts with the customer, but interacts with the people uh, within the organization. The core messaging basically is like your rough book to derive these other messaging, the vision, mission, and values. The core messaging would also come into play later on when I am talking about PR outreach. So that's when the core messaging will come to play. But basically, for the world, you're showing your mission is the first thing, vision is the second thing, and values is the third thing. So this is how you define why the company exists. Once you have defined all of this, believe you me, today we, as a world, we are inundated by visuals, by advertising, by brands, by people, because the world is just so small now. So when you, just before you go out there, when you're open uh, to connecting with people, just make sure that you're ready for it, because the first impressions matter. uh, your logo, your logo statement, your mission, vision, values, that is when the customer or the employee is connecting deeper uh, with your brand. On the face value, they will look at the logo. So just make sure that you're prepared with it. uh, uh, One of the core things that I uh, have experienced while speaking with entrepreneurs and working with entrepreneurs in the past years is that there may be a lot of ambiguity, because sometimes clients used to come to us unprepared. So they wouldn't know where to start with. They would just say, no, I have this company, I've been running it for 10 years, but I didn't even have a visiting card. So I want to make a visiting card or a letterhead now because the company is growing and I never really thought about it. So you just prepare that. However, it would not be honest for an agency to do that without having a conversation with you, because a logo is something that sticks with you eventually, and you wouldn't want to change your logo frequently or your brand identity frequently. Now we'll call it the brand identity because we know what all goes inside it. And once you have it, it sticks with you. That's the kind of world that we're living with today. Anything that we are doing is getting documented digitally. I think 10 years ago this wasn't a problem. If you would have changed your logo every year saying that this is seasonal, it may not have mattered. But today, because it is important for you to create that one identity that people recognize with you or relate to, that this is what the visual is. This is Nike, this is Adidas, if I'm talking about footwear, or this is Puma. We immediately know the difference between these brands. We also know what these brands stand for. One stands for fitness, one stands for athletics, one stands for sports, because they have created uh, that identity of themselves, and their core messaging comes from there because they have defined that this is what my brand stands for, and this is what I'm going to talk about henceforth whenever I talk about myself. So I'm being true to so your core messaging is something like a soul to your brand, and from that soul emanates anything and everything that will come out eventually. So someone asked me, where does the core messaging appear? The core messaging is like your soul. So it may not essentially appear to the external people, but as an entrepreneur, and eventually as your team grows, your communication teams and your C-suites would know what the core messaging of the company is, and you relay it through various platforms and channels. So that is why brand identity is important, because the moment you have it, the moment you go out there and people see it, that impression will stay. Like people take about 3 seconds to gauge anyone. The first 3 seconds, they have already made their impression about a person, and the following 11 seconds, they have made a stronger impression about the person. Similar statistics are for brands as well. In the first 3 seconds, a customer is looking at your brand and thinking whether they want to associate with you or not. They're listening to your pitch for the next 10 to 15 seconds, and they have already made up their mind at that time. So the first impressions matter. Here we are talking about businesses, we are talking about cutting deals, we are talking about closing pitches. And hence, brand and the identity of the brand is so much more important. Once you have the brand identity, now you're ready to go out there. You're ready to talk to people, you're ready to make your pitches, you're ready to make your marketing calls. I'm not going to talk much about the marketing side of it, but I'm going to talk about more about the communication side of it. Now, I asked you at the beginning, okay, I'll take the questions later. I'm just getting a little distracted by them. I would talk about communication. I asked you all who all is on digital media, and I think all of you all are on social media. You're connecting on Facebook, you're connecting on LinkedIn, Twitter, perhaps some of you. There you need to have your brand presence if your TG is there. Now this is very important. If your target audience is on the platform, you need to be there. If your target audience is So a lot of B2B people would understand the importance of LinkedIn. However, a lot of B2C people would understand the importance of Facebook. Um, Twitter again is a mix of a B2B and a B2C combination, but Twitter takes a lot more, um, uh, I would say, a lot more commitment to it, because you need to really know whom to follow there, what to do, start conversations. We'll come to that later. That's one of the last points in my presentation. What is Twitter for? That would also include LinkedIn, of course. So when you have identified the platform that you want to go on, even if you're doing WhatsApp messaging, even if you are using things like emailers, I think they are a little redundant in today's time, but it may work for a lot of businesses. But a lot of people have shifted to WhatsApp. A lot of people have shifted to text messages. I think in the education sector, a lot of text messaging helps. I worked in education also partially for a couple years. So a lot of seminars, webinars that are happening, connect with an expert, attend this talk, happens on text messaging. After you have identified your platform, set up a cadence, set up a rhythm. If you're on LinkedIn, create a calendar, create, are you going to post something twice a week? Are you going to post something every day? Are you going to post something once a week? Whatever you're comfortable with, but set up that rhythm, and it has to be followed with a regimental rigor, because you want to be perceived as a serious brand when you're entering in whatever whether it is logistics, whether it is accounting, there's an automobile company, so a travel company. So whatever your field is, and whatever you think you're capable of, this is again, I would say, do not be too ambitious when you're starting off with your communication, that you would be able to post something every day. Trust me, it is very, very difficult to create communication and then post it, because it has to be meaningful as well. It has to talk about your brand. It has to have some meaning to it. You're talking about your brand. You're talking about your services. You're talking about what you do, what you have to offer. So set up that rhythm. I would say start small and then scale up your communication. If you start big and then simmer down your cadence, it doesn't reflect good on the brand, because then your audience is thinking that, oh my god, they don't have anything to say anymore. So what's happened? So that shouldn't happen to any brand. So start slow. If you're thinking that you want to post something once a fortnight, even that goes well. So set up that cadence and then build up to that. So you have your brand identity in place, you have your core messaging in place, and now you know that you have the first impression also defined, that this is how I'm going to look, this is how I'm going to sound, and this is how I want my people to perceive me. So I have my ammunition ready, and then you go online and then you set up the cadence of how you want to do that. Call to action. Any messaging that you're putting up has to have a call to action. What is a call to action? What do? I see that this is this lovely scarves company, or this company that makes lovely suits. What do I do? So you ask them to follow you on various platforms. Sam, are you here as a timekeeper?
Yes.
How much time do I have?
Actually, we normally finish by about 8 o'clock. So if you can do this, I think it's the last slide, no?
There's just one more, but I'll just quickly
Yeah.
take through that. It's important to have a call to action. Your audience needs to know what do they do with everything that you're posting. There has to be a reason to it. So tell them either to follow you on when I say you, it's the brand I'm talking about. So follow you on the social handles. You can ask them to call you, to email you, to message you. I would also suggest understand your TG, understand if it's a B2B company, it's always better to give a phone number and an email ID. If it is a B2C company, you need to give a phone number that they can message on, a phone number that they can call on. That is important. So give them a call to action, tell them what to do, tell them that you want them to reach out to you. So give that option. That is of the utmost importance. I'll just quickly run to the last point. Thought leadership. Once you have done the above, there is this buzzword nowadays, which is called the thought leadership. It's a scary word because it is also something that can be a little complicated to achieve, but it's not difficult if you really put your mind to it. Like there's a gentleman who helps companies with the CHROs. So you can create your thought leadership within the HR community. You have to write about what's happening in the HR community. You have to talk about what's happening there, because then people will start looking up to you when there is anything human resources related. So I think that's an inside joke. I wouldn't get it. There is this one thing for, there's a co-working space owner here. So there's one very good thought leadership post done by one of my friends, Ashish Mehta, on LinkedIn. So that's a perfect example of how thought leadership should be looked at. These are pieces that need a lot of writing. So here also you'll have to probably look outwards for someone to finish it up for you, but then you need to at least put the pointers together, because nobody knows the business better than you all. You have started the businesses, whether you're first generation, second generation entrepreneurs. Put the points together and then have someone write these thought leadership posts for you. LinkedIn and Twitter, that's where Twitter comes in place. Like Sam is known as the biggest networker on Twitter, so he has made that brand identity for himself, and we all look up to him during events and networking events. So Sam is a perfect example of how the brand identity and networking how that works. So that's the personal brand that he has created, and that's how essentially branding and communication is done. I think I'm jumping to questions. I had some more to talk about.
Okay. So,
yes, Ashish. Yeah, he's going. Okay, I had some questions. I will quickly see if I can address any of those. Nilay, have you read Ashish's post? I think it was wonderfully done. It was a long read, but it was wonderfully done.
Yes, I've read it. It was coupled with storytelling. So there was a lot of his past experiences since 1990s about offices. He has incorporated in the post.
Yeah, so that's a perfect example of thought leadership.
So we had Ashish last week on our show.
Yeah?
He had come there. Okay, so Kavya is there. So Kavya, are you there? Kavya, could you just introduce yourself? Srushti is one person you should get connected to, Kavya.
Yes. Hi, Sam. Hi, Srushti. Hi there. Thank you so much for the wonderful insights. And hello, everyone. So I'm Kavya. I am an anchor, but I'm also the co-founder of Kalanika. We work with the weavers of Andhra and Telangana, and we design and promote weaves of Andhra and Telangana. So you come across as someone who's a sari addict. I think, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but you do come across that. I think I just posted a quick question as well, if that's okay, if you can take my question. The narrative across Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, should it all be the same for a brand like ours, or should it be different?
Okay. See, your core messaging is always the same. The narrative can be different.
Okay.
Because you're looking at different audience on all of these platforms. On Twitter, messaging is received very, very differently as against how it is received on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn would typically be some place where you have more professional and serious people looking for a lot of knowledge. There's an exchange of knowledge happening there. So there's a lot of intellectual juices that are flowing there. So your narrative has to be intelligent. On Twitter, you are exchanging quick messages. You're just putting your point across because you don't have a lot of time. People don't have a lot of energy. They will not read long articles. They're not interested. You need to have a shorter narrative with the same core messaging. So if your core messaging is defined, if you know what you are all about, you can just change the words. You can make it intelligent, or I'm sorry to use this word, but dumb it down for certain audiences. But it is important for brands to do that. You could make the same message more intelligent, and then you can also dumb it down. But you know what your core is, so you will not waver from that. That's why core messaging is so much more important when you're talking about brands. About scalable logo, yeah, what was the question again? I'm sorry. Can you ask me? Kavya, was I able to answer your question?
Absolutely, Srishti. Thank you so much. That was the bit on LinkedIn, especially. That was very insightful. And I also appreciate the fact when you said, for the tonality of certain narratives can be slightly dumbed down, at the same time made intelligent for the other. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. What was the question on scalability?
Scalable logo.
Yeah.
So
I heard this for the first time, this phrase, scalable logo. So if you can explain it with an example, that would be more understood properly.
So scalable logo is something Suhas says, you create maybe someone has created a logo in Paint, and you try and expand that logo which is created, which is a very small size, and then you take that same thing and put it on a billboard. So billboard mein that whole thing is pixel fad jata hai na, that's the question where pixel starts breaking up over there. While if you make it some in Corel Draw or something, and you can expand that whole thing into any size you want, even though the file size is small. So that is called as scalable logo.
But that makes it high resolution photograph.
Yeah, it's called as high resolution.
Yeah. You can also reduce the resolution. So you need to make your logo scalable. It's for the designer to think whether they are going to give you a vector logo, or they're going to, make something in Illustrator, which can be shortened. So they'll give you various files. There are various EPS files, there are Corel Draw files, there are Illustrator files. So they'll give you various files that whether your logo appears this small in a visiting card, or it is, expanded on a billboard, as I said, it shouldn't pixelate. Because I've had clients come to me with a logo done on Photoshop, which was this size, and then they were part of a large event where they wanted to have their logo expanded to, I think, 4 feet, because they were one of the main sponsors, and it just wouldn't happen. So we had to create an entire new logo for them just because they were participating in an event, and then their brand identity completely changed. So hence, if you're just mindful of this from the beginning, then it helps with these pain points eventually.
Okay, I thought it had some deeper meaning. That is why I asked.
No.
Nothing else.
No deeper meaning.
It's very, very technical, but this can be a major pain points for brand identities and companies going forward.
So we'll take one more question because we'll have to sign off.
Sam, choose the question. I'll answer that.
So Nilay has got a question which is good for everyone. What should be the core messaging for marketplaces where we have value proposition on both demand and supply side, and we need to attract both the sides and value proposition?
Okay. I'm just giving it a thought because you asked me what should be the core messaging. Again, it should be from the heart and uh, market. Why did you start this marketplace? You know, what is it that you're trying to address when you started this marketplace? Of course, you know, keeping aside, we all want to make money. That's a different thing. But why did you start this business? What is it at the demand side that you wanted to address, or what is it at the supply side that you do that you wanted to address? And marry both of those messages to prepare one single core of your messaging. Again, I think, Nilay, we can connect offline,
Yeah.
and I would want to understand a little more to be able to give you a more pointed answer to this, because whatever I say right now would be very generic, because I don't have enough information on what you're asking. But again, it is if your business is dealing with both sides of the aspect, just marry them in the messaging. Because at the end of it, you started a business because you wanted, either you're passionate about something or you wanted to resolve a pain point. It has to be either of the two, and define that.
So Jitesh Patel has put his plug inside, but it's a nice plug. So he's into outdoor media. So if anybody wants, non-blurring things on outdoor media, Jitesh will do that. He does it for Western Railway, Central Railway. So if you want your brand, on the trains and all, legally on the trains, Jitesh will help you do that.
Yeah. Srishti, I will like to connect you after this.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So, now we'll go to the breakout rooms. Ravi did not understand. I'll explain to you later. So Ravi wants a signed book of yours. So he's definitely will. I'll connect you to him, and you can do that. We'll have one last question from Chetali. Chetali, you're there, no? Chetali, there? She's gone. Whoever is gone will not get your question answered.
I am here. I'm here. Sorry.
I've got too many screens. I have to buy one big large monitor now. So Chetali is in the service industry, logistics. Do we need to have a brand? And
absolutely,
our reputation is our brand.
Yes. Then how do you define that? I mean, if somebody asks you, do you have a brand identity?
So honestly, I'm still new at all of this. So thanks to Sam and all these gazillion sessions that he does, I am learning tidbits. So I'm very, I'm like a nursery kid here. It was a very interesting session, Srishti. Lots to learn. In fact, you're the first one for whom I've written down notes. So thank you very much for that. For us, when we say that whether a brand is required or not, the minute my company's name is EKF Global Logistics Private Limited. We were earlier called Express Cargo Forwarders Private Limited. So people shortened it to either Express or to EKF. So when somebody says my name, Chaitali, it immediately reconnects with EKF. Or if they say it is EKF or Express, then they remember my dad's name or my name. So when we talk about this internationally also, when we are referring to companies or within India, the minute you say EKF or Express, people remember us. So is that, I know in traditional sense, that's not a brand because we need to create something. But in the logistics industry, generally for us, the old fashioned way is the reputation that you carry. So there are companies like ours where we have the fastest recall and they'll say, oh, like Lynx is there or Express Transport or something.
Like DHL.
Like DHL. So they don't have a brand. I mean, DHL for the courier, yes. For the public, they do have a brand. But honestly, if you ask any of their customers, they don't know the logo. They'll not remember what it looks like, what typography, everything, nothing at all. It's just either FedEx or DHL because they're courier companies and and FedEx probably more than DHL.
Yeah. Chaitali, my only question is, do you intend to expand in the future?
Maybe, cross fingers. Not internationally, no. Maybe domestically, yes.
Yeah, but that answers it because the people who know you by reputation at the moment are your existing customers. How do you intend to build visibility in the new markets that you want to venture into? When I say markets, it may not be geographically outside, but when you're tapping into new markets in terms of new customers, how do you explain to them? How do you tell them your legacy, it would be a little arrogant to assume that they would know it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going on a limb and saying that.
No, but it's perfect. You've said it beautifully.
Yeah, so it would be arrogant for you to assume that they would already know your legacy. A brand identity, even for legacy companies, is important because that's where all of your messaging comes together. All of what you are comes together. Just define the personality and harp about the legacy. You need to talk about it.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. Wonderful answer. Thank you very much.